It started during lockdown, and Ben very kindly made contact with me because I lived on my own and asked if we might sit together out in the gardens at a distance and have a cup of tea together. And very quickly after that, we found we were talking about what it was like to be isolated and what it was like to be lonely. And that kind of developed into other things, from a conversation to I wonder if there's something more here.
Coming out of lockdown, people wanted to talk, and that's certainly what we found during this project, is that people were really willing to talk and to share.
And the fact that Ben was talking about the loss of all the things that he might have lost, I found myself then sharing with him about my own personal losses of people. And that kind of built up into something else that was quite new. And we decided that wouldn't it be interesting to see what loss was like for people that lived in a city and then in an island.
The Empty Chair project is a verbatim theatre project. It started just after lockdown. We ran workshops, verbatim theatre workshops, with people over the age of 50. We did that in Glasgow, and then we did that on the Isle of Mull as well. We also worked with local community groups, choir groups, a poetry group.
Part of the experience was that we would be sharing verbatim workshops because we wanted to create a verbatim piece. And that allowed us to meet groups, and then it allowed us to say, are there any individuals that would allow us to interview them to talk about isolation, loneliness and loss.
It was really important for us during that stage actually to run those workshops because we wanted to give people a sense of what verbatim theatre is and how we might use the things that they really generously shared with us, so that when we make a play, which is what we've been working on this week, they know how we might use their words and alter them and change them, and the kinds of characters that we're creating that are not based literally on these people but do use the real words of people.
And I think one of the most extraordinary things was when we did have the one-to-one interviews with people, how willing and keen they were to talk to us and share their experiences and really open out. And I think that was a consequence of lockdown. And the generosity of people was utterly extraordinary. I've always thought Mull was a magical island, and for sure it was then, and it certainly was again this week.
Yeah, so after the initial visit to Mull, we spent 2 years, over 2 years, listening to all of the interviews, listening to all of the recordings and working out how we might use the words that these people have said and the spirit of the things that they've said to make a piece of theatre that does have a narrative, that does have a story.
So that gave us a chance to explore the material and actually to hear other voices reading the text that Ben in particular had worked hours and hours on. Ben, I think we have a real play in the making. Really exciting. There's something so special about this environment that just allows everyone to open out. I certainly found that. I was opening out a lot. And some beautiful works happened over this week.
And we've got a whole load of scenes on this journey, which are sort of 90% verbatim text from those interviews. And the job this week has been how to reduce that down and distill it so that it has the strength and the power and all of the juiciness that those interviews had for us, but to distill it into a form that can be used for a play, for a story, for a journey, and that makes sense with the narrative that we've built, which is a woman coming to an island with an experience of loss that character has not come to terms with yet. But in meeting people and in being on this island, the magic of the people and the magic of the island are guiding this character towards being able to finally talk and to reach the point of acceptance.
today was the day when we talked particularly about the sharing, which is tomorrow. And the scenes that we've worked on are just, it's so obvious. Let's look at that scene and that scene and that scene, because it's written itself so beautifully, because these are words, real words of real people.
Ultimately, this hopefully will be a play, but it hopefully might also be potentially like an audio-guided adventure where someone could walk and listen to a play as they're walking through the different parts of Mull that have inspired the scenes. This is a living, breathing thing that is still constantly evolving, and the process started by being in a room with these amazing people and by talking to them, about their lives, about their experiences, about their relationship to this land, this magical island. And it feels like this is the right time to take what we've done and put it back in the hands of the people that gave it to us in the first place.
Hopefully our audience of people that we've had the privilege of working with and workshopping will be there, and it'll be so exciting to hear what their reactions are to it. And I'm wondering how they'll feel when they hear their words in some other scene belonging to another character. I'm looking forward very much to their feedback and responses to the work we do.
I think they've done a really excellent job.
That was amazing. It was fascinating.
That is the thing, and yes, it reflects the care in the community. It left something to all of us. There were bits of it that related to who we are.
It's given me a lot of confidence in my work. You know, we continue with my poetry and my writing.
And that loss is loss, just accept it, and we love to celebrate it. And that was very moving, yeah. And the loss is real, but just talking about it is what makes it. And it was that's what makes it, and we need to do more of that.
We've worked so hard this week, and I'm glad that we were able to get something that we can be really proud of.
I would love to see the end product when they're actually on stage without scripts, because jeepers.
It's so lovely and heartwarming to see them react. And I was just talking to a lady there, and she was saying that when she was watching the performance, she was just going, oh, that's me, I'm on stage.
When our reading finished, they sort of turned to each other and they were like, well, that was about us, you know? And that's what theatre should be.
I understood the communities, and the joy of singing, and the joy it brings to other people as well.
Just this kind of really joyous communal feeling.
You just could see people in the audience react in they were just so involved and so connected to it. And that was lovely.
It's fascinating having been involved so much in some of the early recordings and writing and things, not to be able to pick out anything in particular that I could say so-and-so said that, and yet it's so characteristic of the island.
And the subject matter, because of this loss and whatever it is, and living alone and whatever is very much part of my world. And so to hear it so wonderfully, portrayed. They didn't realise the power and the affect that they had on the piece that Ben and I are creating. So it was lovely to share that with them and talk to them afterwards, and I'm very excited about what happens next, because this is just the beginning.